Hello, hi everyone. It's me, Sonia here. I am super excited because in 1 week from today, our book, You Are Amazing, finally is released out into the world. And it's been such a journey. I'm so excited. It is really unbelievable. And I am just super excited to have this book to be out in the world, to share it with, my people who are, millennials or whatever, just this new generation of leaders in the world. And, first and foremost, I wanted to say and talk about a little bit, the terrible terrorist attack that happened in Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert. I mean, my heart just breaks along with so many other people. I mean, I go to shows all the time, and it is such a safe space to express yourself and sing and dance and just be connected. It's sort of like these communities that come together around this, really something that's so shared and loved. And I mean, I've connected to people who are so different than me at listening to music. I mean, and for me, music is not only so foundational, but really food for my spirit, is a tool that I use all the time with my clients, with myself, to change vibration, to change energy. So I just am so incredibly heartbroken, especially all of those little girls, all those teenagers. I mean, it's incredibly heartbreaking. And, just in times like these, especially, it is so important for us to not dim our lights. When we get into these really scary situations, and my family lives in Europe. My mom is in Paris. My sister splits her time between Paris and London. And, these different terrorist attacks are incredibly scary. I mean, I remember Sabrina was in Paris when the first terror attack happened, starting at the Bataclan, and how terrifying it was to be so far away. My mom lives right by the Arc de Triomphe. Sabrina lives in London. I mean, I've just these moments that have become more frequent of just be feeling so ungrounded and so scared and so disconnected. But in this other way, this is our call to not dim our lights and to really connect with each other and not get caught up in the underlying current of fear. Because when we get stuck in fear, it disconnects us. I mean, first and foremost, it taps into our limbic nervous system that really controls the fight or flight response in our bodies. And we might not necessarily be at the event, but just even witnessing it, I mean, I remember hearing about it, and it just, my whole throat and chest and everything just seized up within me. And, as we get into these places, and especially of paying attention, of not only not dimming our lights, but of using that and connecting to our spirits and ourselves and each other. Because, when we connect and we have that grounded place within us, we see people as spirit to spirit instead of ego to ego or me against you. And when we're in that place, especially, being a young person and being somebody who's trying to usher in this new conscious, connected wave of being in the world, I mean, more than ever, we need to connect with our spirits. We need to connect with our intuition, to connect back to that place where we create these and foster and nurture in ways of like, how are we alike instead of how are we different? Because when we get into fear, or we even get into that ego, we disconnect. And when we disconnect, it's so much easier to otherize people and create that place of making them different than us. And, people who, and especially, people who are And especially now with the, ISIL of just this really radical, very small group of extremists that does not represent the faith of Islam, that does not represent the Muslim community as a whole. And I mean, especially living in America right now, where there is such a rise of not only like racism, but xenophobia, of just these places of really disconnecting from one another, especially when people look different than us. And especially when, in creating that otherizing. And so for me right now, and even just as somebody, and even as the people who are here, it is our job to lead the mission, to bring people in and say, no, how are we alike? How are we the same? How are our spirits connected? And turn up that light to say, we will not be afraid. We will not let that fear control us. We will not let that disconnect us from ourselves and from each other. In living in spirit and living a place of where I come from, a place of really even just seeing people and really connecting heart to heart. I mean, that's where we need to elevate the vibration. I mean, right now we're at a place on our planet where a lot of things are breaking apart and shifting, where there's a whole new level of consciousness that's coming up. And with that, all of the old things want to contract. Everything that wants to hold on to how it is. But just like, there's sort of like where you hit a certain vibration and the vibration will hold until it breaks apart. And just even recently, there was a State Farm live feed. One of my friends, Tim, is in advertising. And basically what they did was they had a whole choir of singers, and it was like opera singers, and it was almost like how long and how high did these opera singers need to sing before these glasses shattered. And that's sort of what I feel like where we're at right now. And they went for quite a while, but after a while, after all of this tension, everything broke. All of these glasses shattered. And it's sort of like that's where we're at right now. We're at this new frontier, and all of these old vibrations and patterns are just trying to hold on. And what we need to do is to hold that light and hold that vibration so everything breaks apart. And that includes in connecting with one another and connecting really with ourselves and with our wonderful spirits. And that comes down to, even more than, our intuition is not only the voice of our spirit in that place of where it leads us, but of how we can be good to each other. I mean, more than ever. I mean, and so I really strongly feel like that of coming from a place and living your heart, you're living your life with an open heart. I mean, we are invited to really look at fear in the face and say, no, we're going to do something different. And it takes courage. It's courageous. The word courage has the word cœur, which is the French word for heart, in it. And, more than ever, that's what we need to do. We need to connect. We need to unite. And for one, I'm very grateful that I get to not only be in a position where I can help, even with my book, but even just with all of it, of just trying to help keep our lights on. And even of starting to foster that connection with ourselves. When we get into fight or flight, when we get into ego, and this happens all the time in our lives, when we feel like we're offended or hurt or anything, and what we want to do is disconnect and retreat and say, fuck you at times. But really, when we start to connect back to ourselves and know who we are and not look to the approval of other people and not look to people to validate us, but knowing what our gifts are, knowing who we are, knowing what we need in life, what it does is it's sort of like anything that doesn't match the vibration falls away. And also we get to be leaders and ambassadors for other people. I mean, leading your life with an open, generous heart and spirit, I have seen so often, time and time again, of all of the gorgeous things that happen. And even in the wake of these tragedies, the amount of things where I see where people just show up and help and really extend every single thing that they have, their phones, their homes, and everything. And I feel like that's who we are. That's what the predominant vibration is. That's what the human spirit is available and capable of. And that's what we do. You know, genuinely, when things go down, we help one another. And really of connecting and reminding ourselves of the fantastic, incredible, beautiful gifts that we have. And so I am really encouraging you this week and just throughout is to really keep your light on. Keep your light on. Look for the joy in other people. Look for the things that you not only love about yourself, but the people in the world. And just keeping to use that to not to fight against any of the darkness as we really shift into this whole new vibration. And so I just hope that you're having a wonderful day. And I just sending you all my love. And I just thank you. Bye.